Okay, so here's the deal. It's the 30th of December, which means it's pretty much my last video for the year. So let's just have a little bit fun. And since I'm a little bit lazy, since it's Saturday and it's quite early in the morning, or actually not that much as you can see by the time right now, I'm still in my pajamas because I don't want to do anything really all that elaborate today. So let's just go through all the Moto Mods since I've already reviewed the Z2 Force and the Z2 Play. And that's why you won't even see me today, because like I said, I'm not really dressed up properly. So which ones will I show? Well, I said I have all of them. Let's say almost all of them, because I have pretty much all the style shells. I have the wireless charging one. I have the GBL2 speaker mod, the Alexa. Then I have the battery turbo power mod, the big one. I have the 360 camera. And I think that is pretty much the last one, the game one. And I know you want to know most about that, but this I will talk about at the end. So which one don't I have? So let's actually quickly chat what we have and which I have here. So the Polaroid InstaShare printer I don't have. It's around 170. I don't think that's really all that interesting, which is actually a general thing. I think they kind of made most of them just to show that they are possible, but I don't think many of them will actually be sold, because the next one is the Moto Alexa speaker, 120 euros. That is not a little. Yeah, it's a good speaker and it's definitely better than a GBL speaker mod, but it's expensive. Then the Moto 360 cam, I have that one, 280 euros. Later on, Moto gamepad, the GBL Sound Boost I have as well, Turbo Power Pack I have, the wireless charging one I have, the GBL Sound Boost I don't, because I have the two. I don't have the projector, I don't have the Hasselblad, I don't have the Incipio, but I have the style shells. So that's good enough. And I'm gonna just tell you already right from the start that I'm maybe not the most, or let's say the right person to tell you if you should buy some of these or not, because I'm a total minimalist guy. I use the phone as it is. No skins, no cases, no nothing. And this is definitely the total opposite of that. So what should we start off? Let's actually start off with the style shells, just so you can see what you can expect here. So this is the Moto Z2 Force. I definitely think already this looks super nice. The Z2 also looks nice, but this looks nicer with the kind of brushed finish. So let's start off with one of my favorite ones, which would be the leather one. Yes, this one has a little bit of a scuff, but nice grip. They still wiggle too much, so if they would have just maybe put all around every Moto Mod a rubber ring, or for next year maybe, or you can do this maybe yourself, a little bit of a rubberized ring around the lens to prevent it from doing that. But this one feels great. Of course, the phone gets bigger for no real advantage, just in terms of feeling different. I would have maybe wished to, but you can't really fit a battery in it. As you can see, it's not always flush. You can sometimes see a gap, and I just think they are not tight enough. I don't think they will ever fall off. I don't see this to be an issue, but it just doesn't feel like it's one thing anymore, which is odd. But yeah, I really like the grip here. It feels great. So the next one, this is actually the standard one that comes with the phone, at least with the Z2 Play it came. Also the wriggling feels good. I don't think that is quite a grippy texture, but it definitely feels good and high quality. Now, the next one would be this one. Is that actually the same? Yeah, it might be. So maybe one was from the Z2 Force and the other one from the other. So what else do we have? We have the 3 wooden shells. And they actually feel a little bit different, because let's go into the one that I think looks really, really nice. This is this one, which has something to it, I gotta say. Yeah. Feels good. They all have a very nice transition here. It feels very right, in my opinion, because yeah, feels good. So texture, not really, but it gives you definitely some nice grip, definitely better than the original one itself. And this is pretty much the good thing about wood. It always has pretty much the same kind of grip feel, because on these metal phones, sometimes if you have cold hands, it's slippery, sometimes it's not. Same for glass. Wood does not really have this issue, so I really like that. Of course, color, as you can see, there is some little bit of discoloration already going on. So it looks already a little bit dirty, which is actually for some reason something you don't see so much on the video, but I see it in real life. There are some kind of stains on it. But yeah, the next one I actually like as well a lot. Let's put it on, and you can tell me what you think in terms of design. Also looks nice, definitely. In terms of grip, this one is actually a little bit less. So if you want the most grippy one, I would actually just tell you to get this one. I think this one looks the nicest. It doesn't maybe look quite as outstanding because of the bright color of this one, but this one has the best grip. So this the best grip, then this, and the leather one is pretty much about the same. So if you want the two most grippy ones, go for these. And I think these ones are the ones that I would go for myself. But this one, if you want something brighter, great, yeah. Like I said, they don't sit 100% flush always, but they feel, yeah, close enough to something like. I would still wish for what we had on the Moto X2, where we had these customizable phones, but I guess we don't have that anymore. Now, the next thing would be the wireless charging one. Actually, just so we cover prices already, 25 euros. I'm not quite so sure about the dollar price, is what pretty much every style charger costs. Maybe sometimes a little bit less somewhere. It's not cheap, but it's definitely something unique, and yeah, it's not that bad. Cases aren't that much cheaper either. No. This is the wireless charging one, which costs 45 euros. And I don't know who would buy this. Make his phone noticeably thicker just for wireless charging. I mean, wireless charging is cool, but therefore making the phone 50% thicker, I don't know, maybe not 50, but yeah, still, that's something I'm not so sure. And this feels very similar to what we've seen on these. Different color, but pretty much the same texture. So just so you kind of get a feel for that. Okay, let's get to the next one. This one is one I think a lot of people will actually buy. Maybe also the smaller one, because this is the 3480 milliamp hour turbo power mod. There is also a smaller one with 2200, so 2200. What I would wish though, that this would look a little bit more seamless. As you can see, this looks quite honky, like an afterthought. It just nearly doesn't feel as natural as the Gbl speaker mod does, which I will go into just in a few seconds. But it's thicker, obviously, but just expect one thing, because people have asked me what can I expect in terms of battery life. Now, let's talk about both here in combination. Here, on the Moto Z2 Force, you have a 2600 milliamp hour battery. Here 3000. Now here we have 3500. So you get a lot more battery. So at least what you get on the phone, and then like 50% more. Math is wrong, but it doesn't matter. So what I would roughly expect, you can just do the math. It just works like that, because 26 and just add about 1000 more plus what we already have. So here I got around, I would say, 5 hours in mobile data. So expect about roughly maybe 11 hours or so, maybe even 12 on mobile data now with this mod combined. And if you talk about Wi-Fi, I had roughly 7 hours, so expect like 15. I guess this should be good enough for everyone. By the way, here is where you can charge it. Otherwise, this is actually nice and grippy, because it's not really soft touch plastic, but it has some feel to it. But it definitely gives it a great grip, as you can see here, just to compare the sizes. So it definitely gets thicker, that is for sure. It's actually pretty much doubling its thickness, I would say. Yeah, about to that. So let's take it off. There is a cutout here. And this definitely sits very secure. Now, if we talk about the Moto Z2 Play in that combination, I got around, let's say, 6 hours on mobile data, roughly. And now you can expect like at least 13, 14 hours. On Wi-Fi, since I had already like 8, and this expect about maybe 17. You should at least double it, because 3000 is what we had, now we have 3000. So that's more than twice. So 8 hours plus 8 hours is 16. So let's maybe say 17 hours. And on Wi-Fi, you should be good enough. So you can also push it to see the charge and so on. But it's actually empty. Yeah. But if you need that, someone actually asked me what would be better, if he goes for the Moto Z2 Play with the battery mod, or go for something like the Lenovo P2, which already has a 5000 milliamp hour battery. And I told him, if you are okay with mods and you want to occasionally switch, or if you just like the phone in general, and you want even more battery life, you get that with this mod. If you, for example, use 3000 and you get the smaller pack that is 2200 milliamp, you are at 5.2. Which is, I think, like 100 milliamps more than the Lenovo P2 has. So you are pretty much on the same spot here because both with the same processor and so on, they had very similar battery life. And it just means one thing, that you have the modding experience. Because if you want to use it thin and if you don't always need all the thickness, you can have a lighter device. But the P2 always has that going for it. It feels a little bit more like one device. Now the next thing, Gbl Sound Mod. And this is actually surprisingly well done because as you can see, it uses pretty much the same curvature and it feels way better than I would have expected. Yes, still the wiggle, but we have a stand function, which is quite nice. Even though, I'm just gonna say this up front, the speaker of the Gbl Sound Boost 2 is not as good as on the Alexa mod. So in case, for example, like in Germany, you can get this package, this is already sometimes available for 250 euros. Then you are set, you are good. But if you have to, or if you want to buy this separately, and this is like roughly $100 and this is 120, at least in euros it's like that, 100 euros, 120 euros. Go for this one because the Alexa mod actually sounds better and it has some extra functionality. Not this kind of stand function because you use a different angle, but I can actually show you this already. So let's just do this and you can see the two different angles. This one is way more flat than this. And let's actually compare the sound. Yeah, sorry. Let me just quickly put in the right order, the right folder. Okay. And now here. Of course, sound will be a little bit different because reflections, but side by side they're close enough. And I'm not quite sure if I should use 1%, but let's just start with this one. I'm not 100% sure if you could have heard it, but the problem for me is that it lacks a little bit of highs because it's also facing away from you, which is obvious since the speaker's on the back. And it can reflect, which gives it a nice amount of bass, but that bass also distorts. So it feels like the driver is actually pushing already on its limit. So I'm not 100% sure if I would use it 100% all the time. So let's try another track. Okay, obviously if you have a track that doesn't have the lowest bass, you won't run into this issue. This is just something that you notice on tracks with quite a heavy bass, because otherwise it's actually nice and fairly balanced. But this is what I mean, the distortion. And that's why I'm showing this. And you can see how long it actually still even has that. So once you are to the point where distortion is gone, you already lose a lot of volume, because otherwise it is super loud. And I would say in most situations this is really good. So if you get it already along with your phone, it's still great. Paying extra 100 more, I don't know. If you want the kind of one device solution, yes, go for it. But let's see what the Alexa mod has actually to offer. Just real quick, with extreme deep bass, it also distorts, but way less, and already way with a little bit less volume, it's not the issue anymore. So I'm just gonna say it sounds way more balanced, because we have way more treble, so it feels way more open and clear, and it's wider spread, and the kind of reflection, it doesn't feel so much firing away from you, just because it's actually firing towards the bottom, where the other one, due to the higher angle, feels a little bit weirder. And due to more emphasized highs, it also just in general feels louder. As you can see here, now it distorts as well. But this is an extreme example, so nothing we should bother about. Did I use another track for yeah, this is good enough. So in case you don't have either one and you want something for better speaker sound, pay extra. Because actually, here's one thing. Let's try this. And I guess you want to see the Alexa function. Alexa. Usually the screen, I think, has to be even turned off. Alexa, how's the weather? Alexa. Nah, that demo did not work. Okay, maybe because it wants to update. But okay, it says the battery mod is empty, but it did work just a few seconds ago. Alexa. Alexa. Okay, it does not want to. So it works. The only thing is that I noticed that Alexa sounds way louder than the actual speaker, so it distorts quite heavy. So try to not keep it 100%. So of course this demo had to fail, even though it worked right beforehand. Now the next one would be the 360 cam, because I think I've covered most of them besides the other one already. And what should I say about this mod? And it also wants to update, even though it just did, which is weird. No, that's live stream. We don't need that. It's fine because it did already update. Now, should I show you this video? Okay, I'm gonna do it. So wait. This, just straight up front, is a video that I just did a little bit earlier before. Just check. I did already check the cam, but I'm not gonna be able to show it here properly since I can't upload the video as it is because it's 360 and such. But quality is not bad for a 360 cam. I don't know. I don't really have a comparison, but it's 280 euros, which is just so much. And I definitely like the in-hand feel. They should have, in my opinion, released a battery mod like this, because this is a nice texture, actually has some nice grip to it. It's plastic though, it's not like rubberized or so. But exactly the right angle, so it perfectly matches the phone and feels very natural. And this is actually, just in terms of in-hand feel, the best mod of them all. Because the angles and the grip it gives you with the little wiggle is great. Here we have a cap, in case you want to protect, which you should, of course, the cams. And you should, of course, always clean them. And yeah, there is not really much to have to do. You usually just plug it in and then you can just record. And I'm just gonna, since it's the last video of this year anyways, show you this video. But don't look at the mess. It's very messy, and that's what I'm also saying on this video. But yeah, let's just forget it, because there are a lot of clothes and boxes and everything lying. But this is my experience. So okay, so let me just actually try this. This looks weird because I even see my own hand, which just feels completely off. But let me actually try this. So okay, one thing that I have to mention actually, if you come to the point where it switches from one cam to the other one, there is a little bit of some kind of shimmer that you see that looks like you have had the phone cut off in half. That's something you can't avoid. That's normal, I guess. Weird reason, now I can see myself, which makes even less sense. And of course now you could, since this is 360 video, I guess you kind of really have to figure it out, this in real time. What you would like to do with it, especially afterwards if you watch it, because if I were to just do, for example, here a vlog, sit here. And yes, this is the same pyjama that I'm wearing right now. I don't actually know why it is able to capture my hand. Oh, the cam really goes down deep. This is so freaking me out. So let's just switch. And here you can see the room. You can see up, downstairs. You actually don't see that much mess if I don't show it. I know there is a lot of it. Here you can see. But you can definitely see some of it. So it would be maybe cool for a 360-degree room setup. There is also a different kind of tour where I can see myself in a panorama. Of course, it stretches your face in weird angles. There is also this split screen mode, which shows me everything, but then also just things normally. And yes, we have these different modes that shows you the camera like this, and also. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really know what else to do with this. Yeah, that was my opinion on it. So I think for the price it's just too much, because you could get already kind of one device solutions that I think maybe have better quality. I don't know, but in-hand feel is great. And in case you want something like this, I mean, you could maybe give it a try. Now let's get into the one thing I think most of you are waiting for, the game mod. Now let's go around the actual hardware before I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. As you can see, or you can't right now. Okay. This I would have wished to be rubberized because it would give it a little bit more grip, because this is actually a little bit slippery. But it feels very well. It's very sturdy. It doesn't really flex. It doesn't really bend much. Now, my problem here is that the layout is just too small. Everything feels very cramped, and especially since we have these two buttons here, even though I have to say the analog sticks, great. But too small, and therefore sensitivity is extreme. Because, for example, on Modern Combat, I had to use it at 2%, and it's still too sensitive. The weird thing is also the buttons. They light up. Of course, you could turn that off, and you don't even see that. You have two buttons, and this is so small, and they are so hard to reach, because those are 4 here everywhere. So, yeah, I don't know why they even have to light up. Cursor feels fine. We have a home button. We have a start and select button, like you have on game controllers, A, B, and X, Y buttons. But the whole overall layout feels just cramped. So let me actually see if the game is still in cache that I played a little bit earlier. And then you can see me play with, yeah, not the very best experience, because I would just tell you one thing. Just get something like this. This has the right ergonomics, costs roughly 20-30 bucks. There are also some available that have an attachment, which I actually have, but not here on this one, where you can just put on your phone, and then you have a real experience with the screen, with the right angle to you, because this sometimes feels just wrong. So here, right size, analog sticks are way bigger, way better precision, and it's cheaper. Of course, it's not the same in terms of size and so on. So if you want to play on the go all the time and want the kind of low-key, low-profile, this still might work, but let's just see. But as you can see how sensitive this is.
What the hell is happening?
My name is Mika. Sent me. Right now, we need to
I mean, it works. The sticks and the quality is... Let's lower this. One thing that is not that great though. Yeah, once again the wiggle. But let's go around. I just feel, especially if you have to shoot, and it's not my first choice. And with 90 euros, it's also not really that cheap. As you can see, holding that button and this and the controller, it's just not nearly the same experience. I mean, if you can maybe somewhere try it, and you are okay with the ergonomics and the layout, and you play a lot, because it extra has a battery in it with about 1048 milliamps or so, so I'm not quite sure. So you get a third of the battery charge additionally, and you are someone who plays a lot and he likes it. Yeah, it's still quite expensive. If that's worth it, is something only you can decide. I think it's too much, especially for the bad ergonomics, and that's why I would say just use a game controller, especially the ones where you can plug in the phone. Yeah, and it's just so sensitive since the sticks are so small. And now I'm gonna die. Yeah, let's just leave it at this. So yeah, that's all I can say. So once again, let's quickly go around all of them. So the style shells, I think this is something that many people of you will buy at least one or two, because the idea is cool. You can change the looks, and why not? Now, the wireless charging one I think is just too expensive, and just adds wireless charging for almost 50 bucks. That's too much. For a little bit less, the turbo power I think a lot of people will go for, because maybe if the 2200 is enough. It is also not cheap. It costs like I think 70 bucks, and the smaller one is around 45 at least euros. You can just prolong your battery life noticeably, and on the Zoo Force, heavy users might actually want it. Now the two speaker mods, I've said it already, if you get this one, it's still totally fine, because the sound is way better than on any phone, that is for sure. Even though this one sounds a little bit muffled, the Alexa one is that I would recommend you, because it gives you Alexa functionality, and it also has the better sound. The 360-degree camera, nice idea, and best execution. Best grip, best in-hand feel. I would kind of just wish to this be a style shell without the cam. Just this. And this is maybe even, where is a viable solution in some way. It's hard to explain of how awesome this feels. They should have actually just made this phone like this, even with this thickness additional battery, because even though it's thick, yes, it feels so good. Now, the gamepad, like I said, heavy. I mean, heavily expensive, heavy on your wallet, and it's just too crampy. I know a lot of people actually say that this is great mod, but I'm not quite sure to what they are comparing it, because yes, execution is fine. It feels very sturdy, solid. Okay, a little bit of something. The functionality is cool because it works. It has its own gamepad app where you can adjust a few things, and it seems quite compatible with every game I tried it. It worked, which is not always the case on some of these Bluetooth speakers. So kudos to that, and it can be updated in case they try to do that. But it's yeah. For a hardcore long-time gamer, this will be a little bit too cramped. So I think that's pretty much it. And what I can do now, after 26 minutes, is just wish you a happy new year. And so on. Not really sure what else to say. So yeah, I hope to see you next year on the channel with some, yeah, we'll see what kind of content is going on. But yeah, that's it. Okay, until next year. Bye.